Hello and welcome back to the course on blockchain. How did you go with the previous tutorial with the transactions and UTXOs? I really hope you had a chance to kind of rethink the things that we talked about and maybe even practice a couple of times. And today we'll talk about where transactions fees come from. We'll definitely continue practicing what we learned previously to solidify that knowledge, but we'll build on top of that a little bit and we'll see where the fees come from. So let's get started. All right, so far I've bought two bicycles with my Bitcoins, and as we remember, I have that one unspent transaction output left from a transaction that Mark sent to me of 1 BTC. It's been hanging in there for quite a while now. All right, so let's say in the meantime, in between the tutorials, a couple of more people have sent me transactions and the blocks have been mined and these transactions are in the system. And so here they are. So Sarah sent me 0.1 BTC, Adlan sent me 0.4 BTC, eBay sent me 0.3 BTC, maybe I sold something there, and Adlan sent me again 0.3 BTC. All right, so those are our current UTXOs. Let's see what I want to buy now. And today I want to go and buy a third bicycle for 0.9 BTC and an apple for 0.02 BTC. So I was walking home and I saw an apple and I decided to buy it because I wanted to eat it. And so let's construct the transactions that are going to make this happen, or the one transaction that's going to make this happen. And we already know that we can have multiple inputs and multiple outputs in transactions. So all of this, unlike in banking, you'd have to send, do one transaction with the bike shop and one transaction with the fruit shop. In blockchain, you just do one transaction and you get everything done right away. All right, so our inputs, how much do we need in total? Let's calculate that. We need 0.92 BTC. So what UTXOs can we take to combine them into 0.92? So if we take, let's have a look. Let's get started. So input, we'll take the 0.4 from Adlan because that's the biggest one. And then we'll take the 0.3 from eBay. We'll take the other 0.3 BTC from Adlan. And interesting to note here that Adlan sent me money twice, but that doesn't get aggregated into one UTXO. So that's separate transactions that happened, and they need to continue. They need to feed into another transaction, and in this case, we're letting them feed into this transaction. And so in total, that gives us 0.4 plus 0.303. That gives us 1 Bitcoin in total, and that's more than we need, which is good. And so that's going to be our input, and our output is going to be, naturally, 0.9 BTC to the bike shop to get the bike, 0.02 BTC to the fruit shop for the apple, and the rest, the change, as we can see, that's less than our input. The change, as we know, we can't just leave it hanging there. We need to send it back to ourselves. So 0.06 BTC to myself. I know what you're thinking. We'll get to it in a second. So what happens from here? We've already learned that because this transaction has fed into here. Now it no longer is a UTXO. There's no output that is left just hanging. It's taken up by this transaction. This transaction, same thing. This transaction, same thing. So we can just get rid of them out of our list of UTXOs. So this amount will become a UTXO for the bike shop. This amount will become another not the bike shop. This should say fruit shop. This UTXO for the fruit shop, and this will be a UTXO for me. So it'll go into here. And so the question you're probably wondering is, this doesn't add up, Kirill. This adds up to 0.98 BTC total. This adds up to 1 BTC. So where did that difference go to? Didn't you say that the change you have to account for the change, has to go back? Well, the way it works is that anything that you don't account for becomes the fee. Becomes the fee for this transaction to be included in a block in the blockchain. We know that we've already spoken about fees. We know that they're quite important. And even though blockchain theoretically can be free, you don't have to pay fees. Nobody's making you pay fees. At the same time, there's a competition going on. Miners are putting these blocks in, and there's a lot of transactions that are waiting in the mempool. So if you want your transaction to actually be accepted, you need to put a fee. You need to kind of volunteer a fee, or bid a fee, I guess. And so the higher the fee, the more likely the transaction will be accepted sooner. And so the way you specify the fee is there's no field to say the fee is going to be this. The fee is calculated automatically. What they do is they just take the total output that you have, or the total input minus the total output, and whatever the difference is, it is assumed that you want that to be the fee, and that's where the fee comes from. And so that's where the fee originates. Very, very simple like that. And plus we had another example of another transaction. So now we're going to update our UTXOs. So That's UTXO for the miner. But now we're going to update this UTXO here. That goes to the miner. Oh, and I get, of course, how can I forget? And I get the bicycle for my mom, and I get an apple. And now we update this. As we can see, those UTXOs got removed, and now we have the me to me. It should be 0.06, no dot here. UTXO, there we got. So there we go. That's how fees work. And now let's have a look at some real life transactions that and apply our knowledge in the real world. All right, so I have the blockchain.com website here, and if we go to data, and then we pick any block, let's say the top block, and we go down, you'll see here the transactions. And so the first transaction, we haven't spoken much about this, but it's very easy. It's always the Coinbase transaction. It's a transaction that pays the miner the reward for mining this block, which is 12.5 Bitcoins currently. And it also includes, as you can see, it's a bit more because it includes the fee that the miner gets for this block. So all the fees for the transactions that were paid in this block, they get aggregated here as well, and that's the total amount. Okay, so that's the first one. And then these are the transactions we can have a look at. You can see, just as we described, these are the UTXOs coming from somewhere else, from previous transactions, and they're going, so this is our new transaction over here, and they're going into new places. Somebody's like buying something, moving around, and because it's all cryptographically hashed, you can tell who's buying what, where money is going, but you can tell the amounts. You can tell what amount is going where, that you've got some 0.113 you can't tell where it's going, but you can see that these amounts are moving. What else? So you can click on a transaction. Let's have a look at this one, and you can see how it's happening over here. So another thing, this amount is what blockchain.com or blockchain.info, what they estimate the actual spend is. Because if you're sending your money back to yourself, if for instance one of these transactions is money going back to yourself, the change, then it won't be included in this amount. So that's what they're estimating. Oh no, actually, sorry, that's the total. This amount, estimated BTC transacted. So that's the total. So you can see there that they are estimating that the payment was actually 0.113, and then this is probably the amount that went back to the person themselves. That's what they estimate. And then an interesting thing here is you can go to the tree chart, and you can see that the money came from somewhere, and then you can see how it further participates. Because this is a new transaction, it's a new block, you can't really see it here, so you would need to go to like an older block to see that tree. It's pretty interesting. So let's pick a block and go here. No, wait, sorry, go here to see the transactions, and then just pick any transaction. Let's say this one. Let's see if this will give us something. Tree chart there, so you can see this one kept going. So then it, like what we discussed, the UTXO went into this one, the transaction, this went into this transaction, and then into this one. So more transaction adds it to that, and then it kept going. So for now, these are UTXOs right now sitting there waiting to be spent. So this one, see, then you see like they added up to whole Bitcoin, and then it's moving on. And now then that transaction, 270 Bitcoins. Look, we started with 0.2, it went smaller, and then this transaction participated in something bigger, and then it went into a 270 Bitcoin transaction. Wow. And then 130 Bitcoin. So 270 Bitcoins, that's like, what is that going to give us? 270, so it's like $2 million. That's a $2 million, because if Bitcoin is about $10,000 right now, so that gives us 200 times, so yeah, $2.7 million transaction. And then 3 Bitcoins here, and then it's split out like that. So this is pretty cool, isn't it? So you can explore, and at any point in time you can, yeah, you probably would need to, you could probably look up this transaction somehow, I guess. Maybe we can try put it in here. Nope. All right, so that didn't work like that. Well, I actually thought you could look them up here. All right, well, yeah, how can I look up a transaction? See, like it's supposed to work like that. Okay, well, no worries. So you can see how powerful that is, and you can see the whole concept in action. So just feel free to go here and pick any block. If you take like an older block, you will see like a deeper block, you'll see there's more potential to go through it. And once again, so you just go into the block, you pick your transaction. Look at that, that's huge. But this is not a recent block, but anyway, regardless. So you just pick a block, you pick your transaction, you click on the header there, and then you click view tree chart, and you can have a look around and see how it was, how it developed from there. Once again, if you take a deeper block, then there will be more to the tree. All right, so I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. It was quite fun, and now we know how transactions work, what UTXOs are, where fees come from, and in the next tutorial, we'll take that a step further. And I look forward to seeing you there. Until then, enjoy blockchains.